Hey, good morning to you. This is Walk and Talk 223. We're talking about when I speak, what should come out of my mouth when I say something, when you say something, when you talk, when you converse, when you send a letter, when you text a message, when you go on social media, whenever a word comes out of your mouth, a reaction. When I speak, no wrong words. In other words, words matter. That's been said before. I'm going to suggest to you that the idea of no wrong words is the idea of when I speak, only correct, only right words in the sight of God. In other words, your words represent God or anti-God. Your words represent truth or a lie. Your words can be right or wrong. Based upon the Bible, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8, it says, all the words of my mouth are literally in righteousness. And then it goes on to say, just in the next sentence, there is nothing crooked or perverted in them, in my words. The words in your mouth can be understood as words you're thinking about saying, and even the words that you speak. Some people disagree with boundaries. Some people disagree with right and wrong. But how about the standard of holiness? The text is simply saying, Proverbs chapter 9, that you and I are to live our lives in righteousness. Proverbs chapter 9 says very clearly, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8, all the words of my mouth are in righteousness. Now, first off, practical suggestion. A word is an expression of a thought, and a thought represents a value. You're going to believe in something, and that something, that value, that idea, those words can either be right or wrong. They can either be God-honoring or anti-God. When I speak, only words that honor God. In other words, there's a higher standard. Don't go through life with a low standard. And some people would say, anything, just speak your mind. Anything you want to say, just say it. And I'm simply saying to you, the Bible doesn't say that. The Bible says, all the words of my mouth are in righteousness. Meaning, they've been corrected by God. They've been filtered by God. Meaning, they've been evaluated, and I'm only going to stand on the truth. My values, my thoughts, my words will only be what is honoring to God. Practical suggestion. Right and wrong, good versus evil, God versus anti-God. Live your life not in a culture of relevancy, but live your life in righteousness, not by a dictionary that changes just because the culture changes or people's preference changes. Your words should reflect what is right in the sight of God. In other words, what are the values of God? I'm simply suggesting that when you speak, when I speak, the Bible is saying there is nothing crooked, nothing perverted in my mouth, which means there's a lot of mouthwash, there's a lot of cleaning, there's a lot of bacteria, there's a lot of disease, there's a lot of decay. You have to constantly clean up, constantly evaluate. Are the thoughts, are the ideas, are the values, or the feelings that I'm having, do they need to be cleaned up? Do they need to be washed out? Do they need to be evaluated? And the obvious answer is yes. The obvious answer is no wrong words in the sight of God. No crooked words, no perverted words in the sight of God. This is probably the most difficult standard to self-regulate. We go through life feeling angry. We go through life feeling upset. We go through life frustrated. We go through life in disagreement. But the Bible is simply saying, in righteousness. There are, in my mouth, literally, there are only words of righteousness, words that agree with God. Practical suggestion. Again, you have to start with, there is a God. There is truth from God given to us in the Bible. And you have to decide every day, is there a God? You have to decide every day. What does the Bible tell us about God? If God has given us the Bible and the values are expressed in the Bible, then we have to live our life in such a way that we think and say and feel and follow and obey in accordance with what the Bible says. The text is very clear. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. All the words are in righteousness. There is nothing crooked, nothing perverted in all the words in my mouth. A practical suggestion. There is a God. There is a Bible. And you have to back up every day and say, what does God think? What does the Bible say? And you have to study. You have to evaluate. You have to learn from, you have to submit from the Bible. We go through life, and it's almost like God doesn't matter. It's almost like the Bible doesn't matter. What matters sometimes is what we feel I'm suggesting to you, in order for all the words of your mouth to be in righteousness, which means in agreement with God, you have to take your feelings, I have to take my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, my actions, and I have to submit them to God. In other words, you're going to believe something. And I'm saying your best option every day of your life is, what does God say? What does the Bible say? Now, that may not be convenient, but it is an option. I'm submitting the best option as you live your life. It is life-changing when you submit to God, when you follow the convictions, the commands, the instructions of God. You pick up the Bible, you study it, you learn from Jesus, and you say, those words are healthy. Those words are honorable before God. Those words are right. Or those words are crooked, meaning, what does crooked mean? Crooked means basically deception. Crooked means a lie. Every word needs to be a word that is honoring to God. God never lies. So make sure that the words, the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings that make up the ideology, the worldview that make up your words are scrutinized by God. Practical suggestion for you. Believe, have the conviction there is a God every day. Have the conviction the Bible is true. Have a conviction that your words matter. Have a conviction every day that your words should reflect, should feel like, should sound like, in content, in agreement with God. Take your life and let it be cross-examined by a higher standard. That higher standard is Jesus. When you live your life, don't let the feelings come out unless they're regulated. Don't let the anger be uncontrollable. The word self-regulated applied under God, not under culture, under God. No crooked words, no wrong words under God. I'm simply suggesting in this walk and talk that when you speak, there is a ultimate standard, and that ultimate standard is God. He's given the Bible. The Bible is a book of words, and in the Bible it describes right versus wrong, truth versus a lie. No crooked word means no lying, no deceiving, no deception, no deceiving someone else when you speak, no slandering, no gossiping, no trash talk. It means What are your blind spots? What's going on inside of you that you wonder about? Is that right? Is that wrong? What are you feeling that you're wondering, what does God say about that thought or that feeling? We live in a world that basically wants to ignore God. When you speak, when you feel something, when you are angry, when you want to express your frustration, the highest standard is God. It's not man, it's not the culture. Your best example is Jesus. Make sure that when you speak, there's no perverted words in your mouth. That word perverted means compromised. It's twisted. It's words that are trash. It's ideas that are anti-God. It's a way of denying God, that God exists, denying the relevancy of the Bible. I'm encouraging you, go with the highest standard of living. Your best dictionary is, what does God think? What does the Bible say? And let your words be filtered. This is Walk and Talk 223. It's August 29th. I'm encouraging you to step up, that when you speak, no wrong words. I'm encouraging you that when you speak, no crooked words, no perverted words. I'm encouraging you that before you say anything, what does God think about that? There is a God, and your best standard is Jesus. You study the Bible, you discover what's right and wrong, and you submit your vocabulary to what the Bible says, not what the culture says, not what you're feeling. Yes, you can express your feelings if they're under God. In other words, don't allow your feelings to take you into deception or perversion. Submit to God. This is August 29th. It's Walk and Talk 223, Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. Pretty high standard, isn't it? What's right in the sight of God. There's nothing crooked, nothing perverted in my words. Pretty high standard. I'm saying that's your best life. That's your best standard. Not the culture, not what you're feeling, not what you're thinking. Submit your ideas, your words, what you're feeling, submit them to God. That means you need to study. You need to be in a Bible class. You need to be worshiping. You need to be submitting to the highest standard, God. We invite you to worship with us this coming Sunday, First Baptist Church, Tempe, Arizona. We're at the corner of McClintock in Tempe and US 60 on the southeast corner. We have Bible classes throughout the morning, throughout the week for children, for teenagers, for college, for singles, for co-ed, for men only, for women only. We invite you to worship. Get in a Bible class. We encourage you to submit to God, your words, your speech, your conversation, your feelings. Throughout the week we have classes for all ages. I would encourage you to get involved. Worship services this coming Sunday at 9:30 and 11. We're studying the Beatitudes, one of the greatest set of values ever given. Blessed are the humble. Blessed are the meek. Come with us. Worship with us, 9:30 and 11 on Sunday. When you speak,